for coming, and we will see you tomorrow, my friends.
All right, thanks for having me, man.
Channel
Thanks for being
of a friend,
better.
but I can share it in the chat where you can find the guide if you want information, brother.
I would love that.
I've also heard, like, if you sit.
That's very interesting because this type of antennas are very healthy, not only healthy, but very healthy. And that's pretty safe. Well, I will start reading the data analysis I got from 4 of the 6 studies because, well, just for shortening the time, I will talk of 4 of the 6 studies. But you can find more information on the paper Angela will provide, where I included all the 6 studies. And well, the first one is the influence of the pyramidal effect on tomato cultivation. The study investigated the effect of black buckaroo woods pyramid on the growth of 3 tomato cultivars, measuring several parameters every 10 days. All cultivars were found to show improvements on the pyramidal effect, although results varied by cultivator. In
Yes,
addition,
please, and
the
always,
economic
John.
analysis revealed gains in the areas with the pyramid effect, with the line 2 being the most. In short, the pyramidal effect improved in the yield of tomato cultivars. Okay, this image is just a representation, are not the image of the real tomatoes. But in conclusion, the pyramid helped uh, the the cultivation of the tomato. We also have another study. The name is the germination of green gram with influence of the pyramid energy in lunar days, which is interesting because they took the moon cycles in consideration in this experiment, and they looked at the impact of 2 types of pyramids, polywood and copper, of 2 different sizes, and the germination of green grass seeds during the lunar month. The pyramids were observed to improve the germination, mean root length, and fresh seed weight compared to the control group, although they did not significantly affect baked dry weight. Copper pyramids and larger ones provide to be more effective, and germination was greatest during the first half of the crescent moon phase and the second half of the crescent phase. So they got uh, the best germination using the small copper pyramid and the big copper pyramid. They also used other material. They got good results, but not as good as the copper pyramid, which also our teacher has told us to. So there's another summary of the third study, which is the effect of the pre-sowing incubation with a pyramid on germination and seedling growth. And well, this study shows also that the copper pyramid is much better than wooden pyramids. That's the conclusion on this study. And well, she used it. She made the pyramid also to be facing north south, and well, she used all the correct angles also, and well, she got great results on the copper pyramid. And well, the fourth and final study in this presentation is also about germination of green grams seeds, and it is found that after 72 hours, they got the most growth in the pyramid, and the pyramid placed seeds with very great results from the others that they did not use the pyramids. So that's where we got it. And well, the summary and conclusion is the studies on electroculture and pyramidal energy showed positive results in plant growth. Best results are obtained bigger.
Welcome, Mike. Pausing it there. How are you, sir?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Doing great. Glad to have you.
Yeah. Been a minute.
It has. Hope you and the family had a happy holidays.
Yeah, holidays were good, and been trying to stay warm here the last couple weeks. It's been a blizzard out here, so we've been. I'm sure you're probably getting the same, huh?
Oh yeah, she has been nasty up in the prairies of Canada. My God, it was minus 45 with wind chill, like minus 40 without at one point for a couple
Wow.
days. It was just nuts. And it's like that's Celsius, and I guess like minus 40 Fahrenheit and Celsius kind of become the same. So it's a
Yeah.
bit crazy. The truck died, or the battery. It was just the battery, but froze my old battery. So
Oh.
was stuck at the girlfriend's for several days, but it was okay. And finally warmed up to a balmy minus 10 degrees Celsius today, which is like actually really warm when it's been that ridiculous cold. And got a new battery at good old Canadian Tire. Got it in and back on the road again.
That's awesome.
Do you mind turning your device 90 degrees, my friend?
Oh yeah, yeah. I always forget this. I get so used to
Oh,
TikTok.
there we go. Look at that. So what did you get for Christmas and the New Year, my friend?
Got a lot of stuff actually. Been there's been a lot of stuff being found, I should say, and so I mean we've been digging deep. Got a lot of new stuff actually. This guy here we got fully documented, start to finish. Came out of the cave there that they found with the aliens on the bedrock. So that was a
Really?
pretty
From
cool
that
thing.
one, that's epic.
Yeah, yeah. There's pictures of them the whole way. I got the video. It's like shows them, pulling it out of there, and yeah, it's cool, man. It's
I'll
great
try to
to
get
have
that
something up.
loaded up.
It's like really a part of history, like seeing that on the walls was, that's pretty.
It,
It doesn't, yeah, hard to argue, I guess.
it's tough to explain. It just you got to see it. And when I saw that video too, like it just my mind is like I have to make it there one day, and hopefully we all are able to safely one day in the future. And maybe even it being with you, bringing some of the artifacts back for an official museum or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
Being
honestly, I would never want to do that because, if the thing is the only reason I'm allowed to even have these is because Mexico says that these are fake. So,
right, yeah.
that's all of a sudden, I mean, if you're pulling them out of the ground and bringing them back, like that's shame on you, Like I see the documentation and I mean, it's pretty compelling. However, the government is absolutely adamant that they're fake.
Right,
So,
yeah.
what am I supposed to think here? Like it's really that's the whole reason I research it and I'm creating the foundation. And so I would love to go down there. In fact, I have plans on going down there, and we're going to confirm it with some people. I've got scientists that are going to go down with me as well as a host of a TV show, and so the trip's being planned. And that's going to be really helpful. I mean, I'm not the only one that's going to do
Really,
that, but we
that's
just
big
we,
news,
we, we
man. That's awesome to hear.
I pretty much finished my book, and so I wanted to conclude the book with me actually putting hands on the objects down there, seeing the cave, finishing out like this is what we found. Because right now, I mean, as much evidence as I have, it would be a lot better if I put my hands on it. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Right? Being there in person and being able to probably even physically dig something out yourself, right? Like that would be
Yeah.
the
Or at
ultimate
least see them do
experience.
it. I like I said, I really don't want nothing to do. I'm not Indiana Jones. Like I don't want to go dig. I don't want to see the scorpions and the snake. Like dude, it's serious terrain down there. Like Those guys are ballsier than I am. I'll watch it on TV. You know, like I don't want to, but I definitely want to see it
But
in person, and I want to be. I
experience
mean, to
the
go inside
cave,
of that cave. Yeah,
right? The
I
cave
definitely.
of the carvings.
I'd crawl
That's
14 feet down into the ground to go see that thing. I got these pieces of
me
metal,
too.
and it's an interesting. It almost seems like a bronze alloy. I'm going to go get the XRF testing done next week. But look at this one here. Just the precision of it is just ridiculous. Pretty crazy. Actually, have a ring that's. I mean, there's no way it would hit. I could fit two of my fingers through it, and it's quite a bit bigger than that, even.
Right, and was it Sumerian inscription on the back or Proto-Sumerian possibly?
Honestly, the back of these, the symbols, I don't really recognize anything in
Oh
relation. And
yeah,
now what I do recognize actually, the other place I see those symbols like that are on the back of these little statues. Let me see if I can get it to focus here. There we go. Yeah, you can kind of see like similar type of scratch on the back of
uniform.
these things. Yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely not the same type of symbols like you see here. You know, I mean, this is clearly one of the winged cows from like the Anunnaki depictions,
Right,
and
the
even this type
Babylonian.
of language has a similarity. It's not the same, but it definitely has a vibe versus something like well, like on this pyramid here, you can see the different types of writing and symbols. I guess water and these are all found in Egypt here as well.
Yeah, those are straight up hieroglyphics, cuneiform.
Mhm. But it's not the same as the stuff you would find down there. I got this skull here the other day. They didn't know what it was. It was found similar to where these other skulls that I have are, and but I think we identified it. I've got to do a test to see if it's a fossil or not. But the conclusion would be this thing. It's called uh, uh, leptocyto or something like that. It's a dog from like 9 million years ago. So if that's the case, it should be a fossilized bone. I should be able to test that fairly easily.
Just fascinating stuff. The
Yeah,
consistency
interesting
of
that it's got like the little poker.
cards.
I mean, really though, like you got a poker on this thing. I mean,
Was that
little things
also a
like that
flute
are just no, it's a pipe, man. Like that's what I'm saying.
pipe?
It's got a poker and a little dish here to like put some sort of something on that goes in the hole here so you don't clog it up. And then there's a poker to adjust it or whatever to get your groove on, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they were smoking. The stuff that we've tested was only tobacco. But I think maybe for maybe certain
Well,
things that who knows, right? Oops.
do they all
Drop.
glow as well, or
Um, Not everything does. But here, let me turn this light off here. Almost knocked it over. Moving around in here is like becoming harder and harder because I keep getting more items. So it becomes tighter and tighter. And I don't know if you saw this. I'll show you this really quick.
oh
But
wow,
it's a lizard type person, and we saw this guy hasn't. He's been shown on quite a few pieces. This is like a 4 foot disc, and
oh
but it's cool to see the 3D version. That's
yeah, I gotta give you full screen there. Can you actually like just slowly go over that? That's insane.
yeah.
How to get that detail? Is possible even on his head to get the inscription or symbols on him?
I don't think he really has too many symbols. He's fully scaled out.
Wow. That is
Pretty amazing work, though. The stone itself, like the way they use these stones for texture and different ideas is, and I'm sure he was holding something, but there was nothing found. So, or it hasn't been found yet. That's the thing. I mean, if it really was a mud flood, then some stuff's going to get carried away. Yeah, it's crazy. This is a really interesting piece. A lot of really interesting symbology on this piece here.
and reptilians, anyone? Like, my God.
Yeah, there's also this guy down here. Let me see if it's not focusing for some reason here. There we go. You can see there's the angel, and then there's this guy here. Sorry, the focus is horrible over here. Let me see if this helps. It did. Yeah, it's
Oh,
like I
yeah.
thought it was like a thoth, but it's not. It's a
You
little
mind
different.
doing that again? Yeah, it definitely gives good highlight.
Atlantean or something. I don't know.
Right? The Egyptian gods, potentially.
It's crazy. Some of them just really, really glow, and it really depends on where they're found. I think we've talked about this before. Like this one here came out of the river. You can see it's been in the river.
And so, are any of those pyramids hollow or like have room in them at all? Sorry.
um, yeah.
Any
Here, let me.
doors or
Oh,
like spaces?
oh, yeah, yeah. Here, let me turn the light back on.
Because we're just finished doing an episode yesterday on electroculture and pyramid technology and going over pyramids at the start of this show. And that is one potential thing. See in there, like if you could do tests maybe and try putting like an apple in there and then just an apple in another room just out in the open from
Hmm.
like the same package and see if it extends the lives of them or like longevity stuff like that, or also charging seeds in it and then planting
Yeah,
compared to
yep,
seeds.
they're germinating them. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Germinating through that in there, 100%. And I can almost guarantee you that if you germinate seeds in that and then plant them, that they'll probably grow 2, 3, if not 5 to 10 times the size.
Yeah,
If
that's an
that's
interesting
really
concept.
ancient alien like
Yeah.
technology artifact, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Check
because
this out. I got this seashell, but I mean, it's got a. This is why I bought it. It's got a trident and a fishtail on these angelic beings. And what's crazy is it talks about the Anunnaki and where they came from originally, and they came from the water.
right. So now that you're starting to get a couple of these mermaidish esque, like water style carving figures as well in yours, it then makes me wonder, suspect if all of those giant jade ones that were found from that other site there potentially could also then be real and
Legitimate. Yeah.
whatnot that also have them in it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't trust nothing that any official thing is going to tell you at this point. That's definitely my consensus. Seeing the stuff come out on Friday about those bodies in Peru, I about lost my lid. I mean, I've done extensive research on this to the point where, I mean, I know for fact those things are real. I've tasted them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, from being around the dust and stuff that they provide, like,
Right? Like,
I
where's
I
the
know the
actual
smell, I know the texture. Like, it's not anything that I've ever seen before. Anyways,
show me
but
the lab and the process that they supposedly are testing them from and got these results from?
You'll never
Right?
see it, I
Like,
promise. And what I've actually heard is that they may even try to produce false ones to shut it down or whatnot, or they may actually provide results, but they're not going to be of the stuff that's legitimate. And that's the sad part. But what's really great though is many of these specimens have been brought out of the country, and so there's specimen in Japan and in France right now that I know of personally, and so the research on these isn't just done, you know, like it's definitely something in the future that can be definitely brought back up fairly easily, I think. So that's the good news.
sense. And that if this batch was ruled that it was nothing but a fraud, there shouldn't be an issue, and they shouldn't be, interfering or taking the next ones that come up or come out, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really sad. The Peruvian government released a, pretty long, extensive report of their findings, and then to see this come out with just one doctor, it's like you're only going to take one doctor's opinion here, when 13 of them signed off on something from Peru, like their highest doctors. I,
Yep.
I don't even know how they do that. And it was weird, man. I wondered why no one in America ran that story. I seen Jerusalem Post. I obviously saw it live, and and so it was really interesting to see them do this and ignore that. It really brings a lot of light to these stones because we found exact depictions of those species in these carvings from Mexico. I think I've shown you that before. And
Yeah.
so that being said, I mean, it's all connected. Likely, I guess is what I should have said. Got this
And
Stargate here, and this crystal inside of this thing is. It doesn't look like much, but man, oh man, it is really, really like it almost feels like water in your
that's
hands.
part of it. Really, something
It's
you
really
have to
bizarre,
experience.
and there's a part of it that glows there's an inclusion inside of it that glows green. It's pretty
Oh,
wild.
you're gonna have to show us that.
Yep. Yeah, these new skulls both glow as well. Here, I'll turn off the light again here.
Right, like glowing skulls.
Hang on, it'll be 1 second. There we go. One of these days I'll get like a remote for my lights so then I don't have to deal with this.
Right.
I need to think.
24.
I'm going to take the crystal out of there and not try to do it around a bunch of breakable things here.
Safety first, for sure. Oh wow.
Oops. Sorry. You can kind of see it. It'd be like right under where the light is here. It's hard to see phosphorescent glow on some of these, but it's
Seeing
there.
it
I
go
promise.
yellow and red a bit, and then I believe the angle was wrong for it.
Well, the refresh rate on a live is reduced to, you know, obviously keep a better quality stream. So the phosphorescence is really hard. Like it'll pick up on this for sure.
So it's showing like red and yellow while you have the UV on, and then when you turn it off, it goes green. That's crazy. That blue one is just wow. Which piece did that come with again? Was it one of the tables or the star calendars?
No, that was found all by itself.
Okay.
Yeah. I like this guy right here because you can really see they use the texture and like the eyes a different color, the arms. It's
Right?
crazy. It's really crazy. We have some experiments that we're gonna run. I finally found a commercial UV agitator essentially that we're gonna build. You can't necessarily just get something, but we can totally build this like a microwave. And I found a guy that's really really good on that kind of stuff. So yeah, calcite is. I just saw someone comment, and this is all like all these different types of stones. This stuff here, I'll show you. Um, this type of rock here, you'll see it has a phosphorescence as well as a green, but you'll see also the around it is phosphorescent, and that's because of the high calcite. There's calcite in almost all of this, and if you study the pyramids and what they coated the pyramids in Giza, the Great Pyramids were coated in limestone, which one of the key components of limestone is calcite, and I think that's really really important. If it really was an industrial complex, then the significance of calcite and pyramidal energy of whatever how they were doing this is significant, and yeah, so we're going to stimulate
I'm
these pieces with extensive amounts of UV, because if it could have been that the pyramids, created some sort of energy that they were able to harness. There's a lot of
gonna
alchemy.
activate them. Yeah.
Remember alchemy? Well, you don't remember, but I mean, you know of alchemy, and it has a lot of symbols
Oh,
and a
I
lot
am
of
a huge
history.
alchemist, an experimental alchemist, my friend.
So the
I am.
reality is like a lot of alchemy doesn't work anymore, and I think that that's because the pyramids are no longer working.
You are
I think
100% correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what made the magic. And that's what Nikola Tesla was onto, and likely why they stopped it and why they still hold it, because, having control of magic now is really not good for anybody, I don't think, probably. So that's probably why we don't have it.
Yeah, and hopefully there's not an evil elite group practicing dark magic on all of us.
Oh
And
no, there is. There is, and I mean maybe not on us, but maybe, I mean on everybody, I guess, and that's the reality. I mean, Satan and his fallen angels are probably what created this universe, and so we're bound and determined to cross paths with evil because it's within all of us. You know what I mean? I people always say, "Oh, are these things evil?" Considering the pieces, and I answer them like, I don't think good and evil are a separated thing. I think that they both exist in the now inside of all of us, and it's whoever perceiving it that's going to influence that. I guess more than anything.
absolutely, the duality of the good and the bad, the life and death
Yeah.
destruction, the third dimension of self-choice, of free will, of what the individual decides. Are they going to feed the angel or the demon within? What do you let out and
Yeah.
act on? And what do you keep buried down and locked inside the mountain?
Yeah. I see a lot of pieces that depict duality and a lot of pieces that depict the balance. There's scales. There's actually been scales found, and I think that's the real trick here. That's our true knowledge of reference, is just trying to balance ourselves. You know, that's the point. It shows a lot of things like this, which is interesting because we have the pineal gland inside of our brain, and it acts as a portal. If you've ever done DMT or something like that, and so right here it shows on this side of the portal or this side of the eye, we've got the falcon of Horus and Set, and then on the other side of the portal, I think these are the same beings, but I think they're on the angelic side because you've got the two angel wings with the two serpents. And if you look at the Anunnaki, the creators of Anu essentially were serpents. That's why there's those serpents being found that are 4 or 5 thousand years old. I'm sure you've seen them coming out of Iraq and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I think that's just it, and that the you put a pole through that and spiral that around, and you've got the medical symbol, you know.
Right? Like,
So
it's
it's
everywhere.
there. It's there, man. I mean that's the acknowledgement of the Trinity is everywhere on these things. I guess is really important to acknowledge, because seeing the mass depictions of angelic beings with these handbags and pine cones, it really makes one wonder.
Right? Like, there's definitely going to be experiments and tests to come with those, and suspicion of, gotta act like these are potentially demigod, like off-world technology pieces, that could be activated.
Well, not even off world, but just if they had the right energy going through them, like my little flashlight here that I'm using is battery powered, 35 watts. Okay, so imagine if we had, plug into a fusion generator, 800 million watts, or we had Great Pyramid of Giza pulling in energy, creating hydrogen, because that's what Dunn's theory explains, that it created hydrogen. And so they were harnessing this hydrogen and distributing it out, and that's why they used the calcite and the obelisks that were made of quartz. I think quartz had a very important duty here as well, and that's why things that were high in calcite and quartz were readily utilized in things that almost seemed like they were antenna or position. I mean, the purpose of these obelisks were, it's really bizarre, you know.
Oh, absolutely. We were going in depth about exactly that last night with, um, my goodness, I want to say his name right, Faustino. And
Oh,
Faustino experimenting with pyramid electroculture, as well as researching the pyramids down there in Mexico. He actually lives next to the Gulf of Mexico. Um, I forget the exact place, but we'll have him back on. But just fascinating stuff in parallel with what you're actually talking about.
yeah.
Learning and activating and using these ancient technologies and artifacts.
Yeah, and I mean using them is really like concerning, but I mean that so
Potentially,
so
right?
the, well, I mean that's something that's a concern actually, because Nassim Harriman with Tourist Laboratories. Now I've heard different reports from people. I don't have a direct report from Nassim, so I can't tell you this with the utmost confidence. However, I have seen that there's a serious NDA in order and in place due to an event that occurred there, and it was said that they were utilizing frequencies and different types of energy to try to stimulate these pieces, and a portal started to open and they didn't know how to close it. They shut all the machinery off and the portal still existed, and it freaked everybody
Ooh.
out real good. And so they started to really bunker down and keep things under wraps. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen the team come out with certain things about this, and then all of a sudden it seems like he just disappears, and that's for probably good purpose in multiple occasions.
All right. Yeah, that would freak me out too. Opening a portal that doesn't close, right? Like,
It did inevitably close, so that was the good news. And it never fully opened per se. But I mean, this was 2 years ago. So what they know now and what has been learned, I mean, who knows where we're at in this situation? And that's just honestly like private investigation. So imagine what the government or something of that nature knows about this type of stuff. Obviously, if it's being passed off on the secondhand market in this type of quantity knowingly, then they probably know a great deal about it. But
right, bringing credence to the legends of jump rooms and uh, what Stargate SG-1 is that soft disclosure.
yeah, It's
And the
possible. I
scorpion.
mean, you got stargates and things that resemble, even with the symbols, and it's just crazy. This is a really thing. Like I didn't know anything about this, but something to research is the scorpion. I think they were scorpion guards or whatnot of the Anunnaki. Uh, but yeah, it's really interesting on one of the crests. I think it's somewhere in one of the European countries has a scorpion like being on their flag, and that's where it derives from. Yeah. But it's cool to see it because I've never actually seen it, like that before. Not in the
I'm gonna
same
have
type of
to look into
representation
that.
as something like this. So it's really nice to see the 3D perceptions that these guys have on some of this stuff. I mean, it's just nuts. These spaceships and things, so many different styles of craft. It's absolutely nuts.
Right, like these artifacts are just next level.
There's so much detail and effort put into making. I mean, you got to think if you're making something like this by hand, which we've concluded that there's a lot of errors and things that it really says that it's not a machine, right? But damn, I mean, the chance of making an error here would be so high. And these things are virtually perfect. I mean, everything's fairly breathtaking in terms of the perfection and symmetry. And I mean, it's not perfect, but considering it's on a rock, it is, like this piece here is a good example. Like you can see the left side, it bulges out slightly more than the right, It's not perfect, but a hell of a lot closer than I would have got.
Right, so it's that a lot of these, or seems to be the majority, are pieces of stone that have been like mined, as opposed to it being some sort of geopolymer manufacturing method.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, they're definitely quarried stones for sure. Yeah, a lot of them are very nice specimen too. The things like I can show you an example here. Let me turn this light on. You should be able to see it. Maybe. Nope. But like they drill out the backs of these things. Oops, let me turn this off. And I mean it's like a piece of marble that's inside of there.
Wow.
And then you put light behind it and it lights up that face. It looks really, really cool. But I mean you look at the edge of this and how it's made, all these
Yeah, like
individual spikes. I mean, this is a serious project. This ain't just some
indeed.
quick,
And
and it's not
how
3D
do
printed.
you
Like these things are
like
not even,
break or
you
crack or mess up? Like,
know, right? The level of perfection is pretty extreme. I've collected a lot of carvings and stuff, and never have I seen so much detail.
every single one is truly mind-boggling.
Hmm. Yeah, even simple things like I don't know. It's wild.
It's like just magic to the eyes. Everything is so visually stunning and stimulating and full of like ancient knowledge and
Yeah. Yeah, if someone
symbology.
was going to try to pull this as a hoax, like they would have had to have been so versed. Because I've been digging deep, deep, deep for 3 years now on this, and I mean it just keeps growing by the day in terms of how deep they were with it. Like certain things, they just
And for those just joining us, where in Mexico again? It's one
So
site, right? At
two
Tulum.
different sites. This stuff here, like the mosaics and these type of ships, are from Abuelos de Jalisco, and this type of stuff here made out of this flint rock. These type of pyramids. Um, everything on this entire shelf. These are from Tula Hidalgo. And you can see the type of art is, much different looking. However, the depictions of the Ankh, the all-seeing eye, the scarab, the Anunnaki, the alien-looking gray beings, they're all consistent between the two sites, but depicted very differently. It's pretty neat.
And Tula is where the cave is, correct?
Yep, Tool is the site, yeah, where they did the documentary, and they in the process found, they dug down about 14 feet because the GPR led them there, and then they hit bedrock. Well, unfortunately, they only rented the land and the equipment and all this stuff for 2 weeks, and they didn't get to go any deeper. And so it took quite some time to get the money and funding and belief to go and spend $50,000+ to rent equipment and all this stuff to go dig this hole out, and but it happened, and it's all I think I sent you the doc. Did I send you the documentary with the cave?
Yes, I gotta
Yep.
finish watching all full 4 hours. Maybe get you
No,
to.
no, no. That's the Tula one. The cave is a separate one. It's only about 30 minutes.
I don't know.
I'll have to double check. If not, I'll get it to you for sure, because it's definitely worth checking out.
Definitely. Um, maybe even are we able to bring up and show like a 30-second clip of it or something?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so if you're able to post like a link for it in the private chat, I can bring it
Yep.
up.
Let me pause my camera here so you don't or it might have done that automatically, but I'll just do this for 1 second here. Okay, give me 1 sec.
No worries. Appreciate it. Oh, he will be back. That always happens on the cell phone, but I believe StreamYard came up with a new cell phone sharing option. So hopefully we get Mike right back momentarily with that. Otherwise, try to pull it up in WhatsApp. Oh. In the meantime, we will get back to a little bit of last night's presentation, electroculture and pyramid technology.
Slowly moved under the earth. The height
There
of that
we go.
geographical.
All right, we got Mike back.
Sweet. You see the link there? Yep. Okay, I think it posted it. Awesome. Let me turn this.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why I closed out, but that's StreamYard for you sometimes. On the mobile, it's questionable.
Exactly. We make her work.
Yeah, we've come a long way. I'm content for sure.
As am I looking at your collection. This is amazing work.
This is an interesting piece because you see the portal on the right there.
Let's see if we can zoom in. Okay. So on the right, oh yeah, there we go. Yes, And now that I see that, that's identical to the depiction of the portal in one of the pieces that Nassim Haramein had originally come out with
Oh,
and was
interesting.
describing.
Huh. I don't know if I've seen that one, but that's great. No, I like to see that sort of stuff when you see things come up and maybe in a different way or but similar enough to where it's especially between the two like Tula and Abuelos. For instance, I'll show you a crazy one here. I can move this ball out of the way.
Even that,
This
wow.
ball is ridiculous. It's got a pharaoh here holding DNA above his head. And he's really tall. I think it's Osiris. Osiris was said to be 15 feet. And I think these are the pre-Adamic species that was existing at that time.
I
Our
suspect you're
predecessor, so. But they're sitting there messing with DNA. And then on the bottom of this base, see if I can see this here. Here we go. You can see Isis holding an alien
Oh yeah,
breastfeeding.
yeah. Wow.
Right. And so then 2 years later, after I got this piece out of Tula, I mean, it's the same fucking thing. And her hat's broken off, but I believe it was there at one point, obviously. And just crazy,
Wow.
crazy though, right? That's
Uh,
the type of stuff that I mean, these guys would had to have talked that out, and known for years. There's just no way. Let alone the fact that it came out of a hole, 14 feet in the ground, and it was documented. I mean, that's just
right?
it
Like
blows my mind.
you and me both, my friend. It's just literally mind-blowing stuff that seems like it could be our real history.
Yeah.
The stuff that
The
legends
Bible
were.
talks enough in the Old Testament about this type of stuff with angels and giants and the Bible takes us back to Samaria and Egypt with Babylon and so I mean the fact that it's so centered around these places um, definitely screams some resonance to me seeing these type of depictions. It's just crazy that
Oh,
it's in
100%.
America. Pretty wild.
Really, really is.
So inevitably, I think I had a professor come on board, and he's going through quite a bit of stuff to get the symbols and the star maps analyzed to where we can get
Really?
some sort of yeah. It's going to cost me about 10 grand to build this server, but the server is going to allow us to use AI to create this database and feed it information essentially, and he writes
Amazing.
he
That's
writes the
exactly
codes for
what
it.
needs to be done.
Yeah,
Like,
that's how we got in contact. Someone knew him, and they knew what he was working on, and we're like, "You got to meet this guy," and so it worked out really, really awesome. He's come on board like full steam with this project, and he asked me, he's like, "What's your goal? Now that you know that they're real, government still says they're fake. Like, what's the goal here? What do you plan to do? You just keep buy these items and." I mean, your room's going to get full. What's the goal? And I told him I kind of wanted to get a gallery or a museum together where we could preserve them, and so that's the goal. He had so many great ideas on this topic to get us to that position. I'm really thrilled. because I'm not really versed in
That's
in doing research foundation. You know what I mean? But he
right,
is
like the
because he's a
perfect partner to do this. That's
yeah
unbelievably good news. Lots of
he's raised like 20 or 30 million dollars in grants before, and he's done a lot of this stuff. He mentors PhD and doctoral students, and so he's really versed. Plus, he has access to students who are trying to get their knowledge and education. So we're going to really be able to get some work done.
turn it into real, actual archaeological, anthropological research and
I'm
document.
handing it over as fast as I can, man. I'm going to write my book and hand this over to the experts who can hopefully get it to where it needs to be. Because I mean, this is so beyond me. This is not my profession. I didn't sign up for this. I'm not trying to bark up the wrong trees with this type of stuff. However, it's absolutely crucial that it's documented, and that's my whole hope and point. So.
And very noble like goal and work to be doing, right? Just document it and investigate it. And I'm glad to help be a part of the journey with you, my friend. This stuff is just next level, and they caught my like fascination and like attention 12 years ago with Nassim and Klaus Donna first coming out with that one video of these artifacts, and then to
And then
finally
nothing for years. Just
right like
waiting, not knowing what's going on. Like, yeah, it's always been a big mystery for me. That's like the whole reason I was like, there's got to be a way to get the answers for this. These guys seem to be so passionate about it. Greg Braden, a lot of them are really into this stuff, but it's like, and I just couldn't understand, why don't they have answers? It should be really easy to get with laboratories. And oh man, it's tough business. I think I told you, we had the tests done on one of these skulls right here, and so they took a fairly decent sized sample. But if you look at the skull, there's not, it's a lot of flat pieces. There's not a lot of marrow, so they weren't able to get enough collagen, and so we're taking more samples here at the end of January. We're going to take one of the big tusks, like you can see there. We're just going to have them saw it off, and hopefully they can get the collagen out of there, because he said the good news is that the fact that the sample didn't have any collagen in it, and it's obviously bone, says that it's probably more than 100 years old, because even laying out in the sun baking every day, you should still see some collagen even in that duration of time, so the skulls are probably older than 100 years.
right,
Is
that's a very good sign to start that.
it's definitely a start, man.
And then if you can start confirming that some of them are just animals that lived in the Younger Dryas time period, the megafauna of pre-cataclysm time of the last
Yeah.
epoch, and just one or two of those verifications will be a huge proof towards.
Yep, DNA will be the next thing. Once we get the official dating, I'll feel really comfortable paying for a DNA test. But I would have hated to pay for a DNA test first off, and then came to the conclusion that it was, like you just said, Capenus canzius or whatever from the Younger Dryas period, and it went extinct, and so on and so forth. So yeah, but the fact
For
is, we've
sure.
had numerous experts, paleontologists. They've all examined this thing, and it's definitely not anything that any of them have seen. So the fact that we haven't got an affirmative result yet, just on those knowledge bases alone, is pretty interesting to me. I mean, that you would think someone would be able to just be like, yeah, that's this and this. I mean, an expert in the field, that they should be able to identify it.
Yeah, no doubt, actually. The
It's like, for instance,
original
like this one I posted, and I think I showed it earlier, but they found it, you know, real close by, and um, they thought it might have been, you know, a cyclops or something because it's got this one hole with the nose, and they couldn't figure it out. So I but it's not. It's a. This is actually the backside, and then there's a. It's a dog, and this is the
Oh,
nasal.
right.
And this is the spinal cord that goes through there. Oops, sorry, but
Supposedly
spinal.
6 billion years old or something.
No, it went extinct 9 million years ago and lived. It came into an existence around 30 million. So in that era, it's regardless. It should be fossilized because it survived the Younger Dryas impact, and so I'll be able to tell. And if it is a fossil, then I mean that's a major come up that they found a fossil like that. You know.
Ah, that just adds even more mystery to it.
Well, no, I mean you should expect to see this. It was a type of dog, like almost like a fox, but larger. I mean they would definitely be in that area. So not uncommon. I mean, it's uncommon to find that fossil, but not uncommon to see that animal in that area.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So that was found close by, not actually in the
Not in the
site.
cave. No,
Okay. Okay.
no,
Sorry. I got
no.
you.
It was actually found in Guerrero State, where some of the other skulls like this were found. Not all of these skulls were found in that site. We've only found two of those skulls in the site there, but fact is that they are finding them in that site. So.
I got you now.
Yeah.
And that jade mask is just so next level too. There's so many parallels and similarities to a lot of the artifacts that are being shown. The OOPARTS that you've collected in Mexico, that the ones that have come out, for instance, like the Crespi collection, as well as
Mhm.
like the uh, oh goodness, is it the Burrows Cave or the there's definitely the Ica stones that
Yeah,
are
and they have similarities too.
yeah, exactly. And in China, though, the
Oh, the
one
Hong
called
Chen.
yeah, there's more and more of it coming out with more Aztec and Olmec and Mayan looking artifacts that are
I've
pretty much
purchased a couple of these pieces just to study them, and I did not find that they felt genuine whatsoever, from what I've seen. However, I have seen a couple of them that I had to really question. You know, I mean, they might be. I think just like these pieces from Abuelos, I've seen quite a few false ones. Um, you know, mostly stuff of this type of nature, small things that are easy to replicate. Um, but nonetheless, I think it would be the same with the Hongshan, especially in China. If they're trying to cover it up as a communist country, then they're going to make a ton of fake ones and flood the market with it so they can get rid of the real ones as soon as possible.
yeah, right. And
I mean, logically, if that's the
the
motive, you know.
possibility that within all of the pyramids and mounds or
Well, they have
burial
pyramids
sites,
in China lined up the same exact way as Teotihuacan and the Great Pyramids, as Orion's Belt. I mean, the
exactly.
fact
Yeah.
the fact that those mounds are lined up like that, it just doesn't seem like a natural formation. The same with the ones on Mars. You know, it's
Oh no, it was one giant like previous pre-cataclysm global civilization, the pyramid building civilization, the
they were
mound.
able to terraform and use that energy, the
Yeah,
alchemy and the magic to terraform and to manipulate the worlds to harness and harvest things off of them, likely.
100%. It's seeming like evidence of this original demigod cedar like um race society entity,
Yeah.
whatever it was, right, that came in and were the original master terraforming builders, and they were responsible for all of the pyramid mountains and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yep. I think it's definitely all there, and I think you see so many stories like the Greek and Sumer. I mean, they all have this trinity and a similar storyline. You know. None of it goes into detail about the wars with the pyramids, though. Hardly, cuneiform. You have some of it in Stitchen's work, um, but if you look at the Bible, for instance, the Book of Wars, it's not even. We've never found it. It's never been found. It's been talked about in the Bible, but no one has ever seen the book in modern times, which I think is really interesting.
That is, and makes me
Because I think it talks about the pyramid wars, and I think that's why it's missing. It's not the wars between the Babylonian and the barbarians or whatever it was at the time. Like it's the pyramid wars. I think is what it's
I
going to talk about.
suspect you're right, right?
Yeah.
The oh man, and are there any depictions of such events on any of the artifacts or carvings that you've gotten by chance?
I mean, side stuff like this where there's, obviously a guy with his hands above an obelisk, and it has beams of energy. And there's also quite a bit of depiction of beams of energy going into pyramids, and for instance, like on this cube, you can see here that the light from the eye shines down on the pyramid, and the pyramid redirects it out. And if
So
those
where that eye directing the energy out appears on that pyramid, I suspect is the base of where that block sits within that pyramid, and that you're definitely going to have to test some veggies, fruits, and germinating seeds, and putting that pyramid maybe out in the sun. And if it is sun ray energy, potentially, or even the moon, who knows? But
yeah, that's just it. The thing with the pyramid is no matter where you're at with the sun in the sky, there's an equal part of the pyramid being hit always. And I think that's the perfect design for a celestial body to reflect it back or to create something from it, and the fact that we only see a certain percentage of the spectrum of light, this light that's depicted, these waves of light and how it reflects, it could absolutely be ultraviolet or some sort of light frequency that we don't even see, or even maybe even acknowledge at this point. And that could be why it's
we're gonna be doing
invisible,
experiments
just like
into
Tesla.
exactly that. And Samir Izvanovich and his work with the Bosnian pyramids, and exactly what you're talking about, and measuring and recording these different EM waves, spectrums of non-visible light waves and energy, and recording beams coming out of the top of the pyramid of the sun of the Bosnian pyramids.
Yeah. Yep. There's definitely a lot of research to be done on the pyramid still. And there's so much already out there. Like I was really amazed how deep this topic goes with pyramids. And I mean, I never really researched it too deep prior to learning about this. So it comes as a surprise, I guess.
Science of the pyramids, right?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean the for anyone that's a flat earther, you can't look at the Great Pyramid and say you believe the world is flat, because it's completely redundant. And it's proof because it's in the design of the foundation. You can visually see the curvature of the earth in the foundation. That's just it. And
Right,
then the
like
fact,
it's included into the building dimensions of it.
yeah, exactly. And they knew the latitude and the longitude that the Earth was being squeezed, because it's slightly more north south short than east west. And oh, nice, yeah, you got it. I would fast forward like maybe 2 minutes or so, and there's quite a long. Okay, I'm not going to talk about long intros, but it has a pretty short intro compared to yours. No.
That's funny. Yeah, so or what would be a good segment to play a couple
Yeah,
minutes?
right here.
Right
Yeah,
here?
I think this is probably good. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Let's try her out.
Permitirá elevar los niveles de
It's captioned, so
eficacia
you
en
don't
la
want to
labor de
make it.
prospección.
Yeah.
Should I mute it there and maybe let you give
No,
a
I mean it's
description of it?
it's closed captioned, so you could just maybe turn it up a little bit less loud, and I think it's got good. I mean,
Tecnología para trabajar y encontrar esto usamos georradares, radares.
yeah, this is where they're going to start talking about the GPR and
Aquí
finding
la
the
idea
pieces
es
and how they
que
found
por
the
medio de
tunnel
ondas
and stuff.
electromagnéticas nosotros detectemos todos los materiales que son de propiedades dieléctricas diferentes a las del suelo. Entonces con eso se basa para determinar la profundidad y el tamaño de este objeto, ¿sí? Y en este caso también podemos detectar superficies, ¿sí? No nada más cosas pequeñas, sino que también puede ver, por decir, si hay una capa de otro material o si tenemos diferentes tipos de materiales, también lo podemos determinar como una superficie y también podemos determinar grietas o cavidades, ¿sí? Espacios vacíos.
Yo llego aquí porque me invitan por un aparato que nosotros tenemos. Es un pequeño magnetómetro que nos permite ver inconsistencias de la Tierra. Es un magnetómetro de bastón. Tiene dos funciones. Tiene la función en tiempo real, que es como lo hemos trabajado aquí, y aparte nos da un 3D. Nos permite hacer una lectura del suelo donde pasamos. Se hace una línea en los cuadrantes que se trabajan y después se pasan de manera, por decir algo, atravesada, para que nos dé una lectura que después nos arroja un resultado y que nosotros ya podemos confirmar, pero en tiempo real vamos viendo las inconsistencias.
Por fin, la pantalla del georradar muestra la primer pista. Es una anomalía en el subsuelo, como si fuera una cavidad y cuya entrada es de aproximadamente 2 metros y se extiende hasta más de 3 de profundidad. El equipo de arqueología extraterrestre comienza la exhaustiva labor de excavación.
Encontramos pisos, son 2, 3 pisos que se encuentran antes de llegar al túnel. No sabíamos que había un túnel, pero ya nos fuimos guiando. El georradar nos detectó una anomalía. Al empezar bajando descubrimos un piso. Posteriormente encontramos otro piso.
Tras horas de excavación, un silencio expectante se gesta en el ambiente y todo el equipo se acerca.
Y al encontrar el otro piso nos fue llevando a una cuevita donde estaban piedras acomodadas, tapando una entrada. Al quitar las piedras se ve ahora sí como un socavón, pero ya al entrar echamos lámparas, vimos que había objetos. Esos objetos pues, prácticamente son pura evidencia extraterrestre, puras imágenes y simbología también de extraterrestres.
Los días y horas de investigación y trabajo rinden frutos y las primeras pistas que arrojan luz sobre el enigma alienígena se asoman para llenar de expectativa y emoción al equipo.
Dentro de la cueva se encontraron petrograbados, pero de evidencia extraterrestre. Y igual así en el mismo techo de la cueva están tallados en paredes que son paredes de prácticamente tezontle. Pues ahí vemos son puros seres también extraterrestres, son híbridos, realmente son con cola, son espíritus, no tienen pies, pero pues son seres que vienen de otra galaxia, de otro planeta y dejaron huella ahí justamente en las piedras. El motivo, el por qué están aquí, pues es muy difícil de decirlo, ¿verdad? Vamos a mostrar algo de lo que nunca había mostrado nadie en el mundo. Son evidencia de seres con cabezas alargadas, seres que caminaron en esta tierra de Tula Hidalgo Vamos a observar el primer ser. Este es una cabeza alargada. Tiene un báculo en su mano. También ya es muy complicado sacar toda la pieza completa, pero observemos su ojo. Tiene una incrustación de una obsidiana. Este es un ser de trompa muy pequeña, pero cabeza alargada. Esta es otra cabeza. Esta es una cabeza alargada. Aquí podemos ver también el ojo. Es un ser que también viene en posición, casi que podría decirles una posición fetal. Aquí vemos el cambio de tierra y es otro nivel. Aquí ya es un tercer piso que estamos encontrando. Y aquí hay otro ser que también viene. Aquí arriba trae una cabeza, también es alargada con una trompa larga, pero este viene atrás de este otro ser. Aquí también vemos una estrella, o estos círculos que están plasmados allá, también es uno de los círculos que nos llama mucho la atención, ya que posiblemente nuestra hipótesis es que sea una alusión a las estrellas, una alusión a la luna, una alusión al sol, o no sé, es posiblemente una huella de ellos con una esfera. Esto está marcado realmente en una estructura del túnel, pero que está conformada por pasto, y es y parte de barro. Con esto compactaban y hacían sus casas. Tuvieron que hacer una interactuación con ellos, porque aquí en esta época, pues los toltecas todavía no tenían este conocimiento, y posiblemente ellos fueron los que se lo dejaron mostrado, o se los mostraron y les enseñaron toda esa evidencia para construir. Aquí vamos a ver otro ser, que aquí hay una división también en el túnel. Lo que llama la atención, de este lado, del lado izquierdo, van entrando, pero del otro vienen saliendo estos seres. Ahora miremos esta otra, es algo fascinante. Podemos ver claramente que es un ser extraterrestre que sostiene en sus manos un cráneo alargado y una esfera. Esto tiene similitud con Anubis.
So just pausing it for a moment.
Yeah.
To describe this, there's an entire cave wall with the identical carvings, art style, and depictions as the artifacts that your collection is, that these artifacts were dug up from and removed from.
Yeah, this piece, that piece that I was showing you earlier is right out of there. I mean, I've got the whole video on my feed there. The one with the crystal here, and it's something else.
Right? That's just amazing.
But yeah, clearly the same stuff. And what's interesting too is the type of stone that you'll see, this orange looking stuff with all the holes in it, is very, very common on a lot of this stuff. And it's called flint stone, like Fred Flintstone. In fact, that might be what Fred was mining. Go
Right? Shout
figure,
out
right?
sounds.
It's something that flint is actually quite rare now in terms. And so these large pieces of flint rock like this, um, it's interesting that they have them, because to go get those today would be really, really hard to find, if you could at all. It's kind of like basalt. You're just not going to find pockets of it like they used to have back in the Stone Age,
Absolutely.
because they mined it all out.
Yeah, right. Like they literally have already mined all the major pieces and carved them into all these sorts of just
Yeah.
amazing ancient antiquity artifacts.
This here's you could put incense in there, and then you use the pyramid to close it out or snuff it out, I guess. And it sits there and
I
smoke just
am
pours down.
also going to require you to experiment with germinating seeds and testing fruit and vegetables longevity in that as well.
Check this out too. It's not just that, but oh my gosh, it's got this guy inside of there. Hang on. Oh, he's really heavy.
See, the places where that guy's the top of where you'd place something, the seeds or the fruit or whatever, what have you, on that guy, as well as the whole on
He's
the
got a
top.
fruit basket almost, you know, like you could put seeds in
Yeah,
there.
that's right. Like it's like saying put this fruit here, put the seeds there, and that's literally in the two spots in that pyramid geometry, because that guy's the steeper inclined, like the Nubian pyramids, and we were literally discussing this last night, between the two and the geometries and the energy focal points, and that there's these two bubbles of energy like concentrations exactly where the seeds and the fruit or vegetable would be residing where in your artifacts there. So it's like that's actually, it's phenomenal coincidence, parallel, and supporting evidence into these being ancient pyramidal technology, and we are definitely needing to do real science with them going forward.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. That's why we got to get into we were doing a nonprofit organization with a foundation, and there's three of us large collectors. We're all going to donate, a pretty hefty chunk of our collections to this foundation, and then manage it to research and
That's awesome.
yeah, get this stuff protected, because at this point in time, I mean, it needs to be, if it is even a 1% chance real, like it's definitely, I don't even really like having it in my house.
All of the right steps and procedures in testing, documenting, and like investigating it and
Yeah,
preserving it simultaneously. And very commendable, amazing work you're doing, brother.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, this is every movie I've ever watched. You've got these heroes or these people that have to make this decision that for the greater humanity or whatever. And I mean, shit, even if half a percent chance that this stuff's legitimate, like there's like a real uh, purpose of making sure to do the right thing here. Like that's the
100%.
reality of it for everybody. Like, what's the right answer? And there's no question in my mind that this is, it needs to be documented, just like the Bible. I mean, that's like saying, do we want the Bible or do we not want the Bible? And even if you aren't a God believing person, the amount of history that's recorded in this book is priceless, and history is so important. So you can't knock on it. Like there's value there regardless of what you believe.
You're right, and I look forward to the cataloging and building of an AI archive of all of the symbols and pieces and information on all of it, because that's where I truly believe and have been literally saying and like describing what the steps that you've just taken and are now about to partake in and create is what I've like been talking about for years upon years
Yeah.
before meeting you, and just describing these OOPARTS and the languages on them and the stories and information in them, and it's coming to fruition. It's amazing stuff. Like, look at that.
A lot of pyramids in the language itself, and a lot of weird, you can see like the it's like a
I
pyramid with
see
that.
alchemy information, symbols, and more
Yeah,
than symbols, actual like sentences and equations written out in there.
yeah,
And that is what's
pictograms of some form for sure. There's a lot of information there. Like they're not just some simple symbol, like they have a lot of to
there's
carve
real
into stone.
alchemical symbols in it. So lots of real alchemical symbols in those.
Well, no, I mean those like that has similarities. I would call it. There's actual pieces like this that are more alchemical.
Oh, those are for sure.
What I
100%.
find interesting here is, here we have this eye. Oops, let me get it zoomed in here. So you've got the eye looking down at the two pyramids, and then the pyramids are blasting out all this energy. And then you have these two alchemical symbols on the right and the left hand perception of the eye.
Yeah.
And here we have a trinity with Mercury and sulfur, and that's your Michael and Satan, or something of that nature, and then the all-seeing, obviously, and or Enki and Enlil, however you want to perceive it. But the right hand and the left hand is really important, because obviously, like, Jesus is portrayed as the right hand of God. Enki is also, if this is his symbol, was Mercury, in the Sumerian. So the fact that he was Mercury, same with Thoth, his son, and then you have the water depiction here on the right side. That's, I mean, a coincidence is maybe on this one piece that was a coincidence, but then you have the same thing here again with the water on the right hand side of the all-seeing eye. It just makes it just and it's like that in so many depictions. It's not even funny. Like,
See, I actually see chemistry equations written in that, and instructions and stuff, as another meaning to the symbols and what's there, and what you're
I'm
showing
sure of
is
it.
extremely fascinating. And like, we have to do a full episode on it together, on um, the electrolysis alchemy and Isaac Newton's alchemy research and work that I've been doing.
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear that. Yeah, I've actually been. I mean, it's so many things to research. That's one thing I've been wanting to research more on is alchemy. But gosh, one thing at a time,
Exactly, right. We all have our parts, and
Yo, that's the truth too. That's the beauty of it. And I was talking with my wife, because this topic has brought us into a whole nother mindset spiritually and belief wise, and our purpose, all these things, and it's like there's nowhere to really go and talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, we're talking about it now, sure, but I mean, a place of peers that have the same commonality. It's not something that's found very commonly right now.
I agree,
But I
man.
think it's something that's needed, I guess, is where I'm going with that.
And it's all coming out and sharing, documenting it, and making sense of it all together, and uh, bringing it new light to the world. And like, look at that. It's absolutely epic.
Yeah, the work is it just doesn't quit. I mean, it's really ridiculous. And, you take these grooves, for instance. Let me see if I can steady my hand a little bit better than that. um,
Well, it's clearly
they're
the
not
same
symmetry.
culture or artists, artisans, people, or person or persons that
Mm.
created your carvings, as well as the ones that were on the original pieces documented by Nassim and Klaus. And
Oh,
that's
absolutely. I'm working with the same. I mean, like Mark Russell, for instance, all those guys were in on that, like back then, together. Like they were researching this. Oleg Elistrov here with this book. I'll show this book too, because anyone that's watching, I always feel like I'm just talking to you, man, and I always forget there's an audience when we're talking. So, this book is really great. It's called Mexico Paleo Contact. Oleg Elistrov is a PhD. He's a Russian scientist that went down there. This is him here. Well, it says USA, but nonetheless, he's from Russia, and they went down and documented this fairly deep. Really took off where Nassim kind of left us hanging there after his, because when he came out with this and it got put on the internet, he got shunned in the scientific community. I mean, they told him he was a nutcase. They tried to cancel him, just like they
right.
tried to cancel anyone that goes against their agenda. I've seen it
He
so
was
many times.
just like breaking through in like the experimental physics into being accepted in the mainstream academic science community, and then they pulled that on him, and just not a word of it or him since, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they keep it on. It's just like Jaime Mausam now with these bodies. I mean, you've seen them try to cancel him, and now they're doing it again. And you can go on with many people in the celebratory world, the music world, who have come forward about certain topics and certain things, and suddenly they're gone one way or another, and it's really crazy. The coincidence again is getting to be hard to accept as coincidence.
Mathematically not improbable, but impossible. Yet here we are with it all.
Everything seems mathematically improbable, but yet it's so perfect. So I mean, I wouldn't doubt that. But man, seriously though, the manipulation here is almost obvious. Yeah.
Like, look at that.
The carving on this is so ridiculous. I just want to show
The
you up close
story and
how perfect it
information,
is.
it's like saying it. There's so many similarities to a lot of the OOPARTS that Klaus Donna has also shown from Ecuador and South America
Yeah.
through the years,
He,
and
he
some of
he
his
he's he's got so many pieces. He knows so much. He's released document. No one will show him. No one will promote Klaus Dona, not Netflix, not History, because he's talking about stuff that they don't want to talk about. I mean, I tried to reach out to the Ancient Aliens crew, and they all shunned me down. I spoke with Linda Moulton Howe for a while, and then she was planning to take a trip down there, and immediately it got shut down, and she never responded to my emails again. And again, it's just, there's
I've
disclosure.
actually heard
Disclosure
very
is complicated.
similar stories and experiences with people investigating and exploring the Grand Canyon Pyramid Complex site and that group of individuals.
Yep, that's another one. I mean, it's and they what they said that they found is exactly what we're seeing. So I have no doubts at all that it's all one big cover up, essentially. And it goes deep into the UAPs and the UFOs and how they are also being covered up, because on a lot of these pieces it depicts the UFOs being assisted. In fact, here's a prime example. You've got an angel here holding a UFO.
Right. So this is depicting, showing essentially that the UFOs are demigod or godly technology and existence.
The grays, I think, are creations of the angels, and I think that just like we're God's children, that they may also have other children, the spiritual beings, the heavenly beings, the demonic beings. I think they probably copy each other's technologies, and likely a lot of the UFOs, and that sort of technology is probably operated and administered by yours truly.
Right.
This
And
guy.
it's like
and
proceed with caution.
Yeah, you look at Tucker Carlson and Roseanne Barr's interview where they talk about not aliens, but interdimensional species, the fallen angels. You hear about it from many people. Dr. Greer, as well as what's the gentleman's name there from Area 51? That
Lazar.
Yeah, Bob Lazar. He talks about as well that it's not aliens, extraterrestrials specifically. It's interdimensional beings. Even
Could
when
potentially
Grocer,
simultaneously be all of them too, right? All of the above.
yeah, when Grouch came out in Congress and blew the whistle here last year sometime, the gentleman there, Grouch, he did not state extraterrestrials. He said interdimensional. And I just keep saying this because it's really important, I think, to analyze that this is going through into different dimensions. And I've personally had an experience where it felt like this occurred to me with DMT and through my pineal gland. So to see that all, laid out so specific with this portal, I really think that that's a technology.
I agree. Then that's why we gotta proceed with caution, but do real science with this and real archaeology and um, studying it, making sense of it, figuring it out, and uh, the AI archive will be absolutely amazing because once you complete uh, your full database of what you have, you can then start creating or comparing it to all of the other OOPART collections out there. And I guarantee that it's just going to be so insanely statistically impossible, the ridiculous amounts of confirmations that are to come with it all, right? Like it's
Well, we're not going to stop just there either. Like I'm a big JJ Hertog fan, and I've got, probably 5,000 hours of lecture from him. And so we can now take lectures and run them through the AI as well, and it'll automatically decode all the text. And then now we've got all the information in all of his speaking, that we can now also, because the reason I use him is because he had an experience with Enoch specifically, and the knowledge that he brought back in 1973 was so spot on that, I mean, there's two 500 plus page books of confirmations from his original 400-page book. It's gone that deep in terms of peer reviewed science, and so he talks so much about the fallen angels and all of this type of stuff, portals and pyramid usage and stuff like that, that I think being able to utilize and bump the two together will be quite valuable, because I found similarities just, me looking. But if I had AI to go through all of it and then make databases for me and publish, you know, papers on specific questions, that's what I'm talking about.
gonna be interesting results to come, my friend. And this is probably a good point to wrap it up for tonight, as we're getting to the 3-hour mark.
Oh yeah, I came late. I apologize.
Oh, no worries, brother. It's the perfect second half, and I'm gonna edit it down and republish it as a full episode all on its own, because this has been absolutely amazing and awesome. And we'll be at it again tomorrow if you're available. If not,
I should be, man. Yeah,
yeah. All
just
right.
message
Well,
me. I'll be around. So
okay, I will do. And in that case, looking forward to seeing you for part 2, which is actually like part 12 by now.
yeah.
And it'll be awesome. Thank you, Mike, and thank you everybody watching. And we'll see you all again here, same time tomorrow. Ta-ta.
Have a great night.